All right, this week we have a little more prep to do than last week because we're doing pork this week, and that takes a little bit of a head start. But it's so much more worth it because pork is, I would say, at least 2 times better than beef.
2 times?
At least. And it's really versatile. And
Just the butt, though.
That, which is actually the shoulder. The Boston butt is what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Which is what this is. We got 3.5 pounds of pork shoulder.
That butt?
This is actually a bone-in pork shoulder, so we're gonna end up with about 3 pounds total. And we're gonna do a handful of dishes this week that have shredded pork. So we need to pre-cook it to the point where it's gonna be like falling apart or like almost falling apart so that it's really fast the day of. So I'm gonna butcher that. We also need some buns for a couple dishes. So
I'm on bun duty.
classic Sarah. How much of this, where do you wanna go?
I'll
go this way.
Side.
Great. First thing we need to do is remove this bone, which is gonna be the base of our stock. We don't need to completely remove all the meat from the bone. We do wanna leave a little on there because that actually gives the stock a lot of flavor. The body comes from the bone and the gelatin and the connective tissue around the bone. Having a nice meaty stock will give us a lot of flavor when we use it later. We're gonna use it to make beans. We're gonna use it for the base of some sauces, and that's gonna make our lives really easy. And really, there's only this much, so pretty small bone. All right, so these fatty pieces, we're gonna shred. That'll be the easy answer for that. So we've got 3 about half-pound pieces here that are gonna be shredded. I'm gonna turn this on. Once that's up to heat, this is just an Instant Pot. I've got it on saute. These pieces are going to be ground, and these are gonna be turned into our cutlets for the tonkatsu. I'm not a butcher by any stretch, so if I can do this, you certainly can. But the point is to get 2 nice even pieces.
And while he's doing that, I'm gonna make some buns. We've got a recipe on kitchenomicon.com for these, but I'm going to start by adding 500 grams of flour.
You're gonna wanna do half that, because we only need
500?
12 of them.
Oh, okay, so 250.
250.
If you don't have access to flour, you can also just buy buns
Yeah.
from any grocery store.
There's no shame in buying buns. A lot of these ingredients you'd likely have to go shopping for at least once anyway.
Over.
Close enough. You'll be
250
just fine.
grams of warmish water. I'm using 104 degrees water.
You want 12 for that?
And then, 12 grams of active, 25?
12.
12, yeah. 12 grams of active dry yeast.
It's gonna be a nice fatty pork cutlet. So these aren't perfect by any means, but we want them about 1/4 pound each, maybe 1/3 of a pound. These are both pretty decent sized chunks, and they're gonna make really great tonkatsu.
All right, then we just need to combine the flour, water, and yeast thoroughly, and then we'll throw some saran wrap on this and let this sit for 30 minutes.
You can probably just cover it in a towel.
And then we'll come and check back on it until it's like about doubled in size.
These shreddy pieces I'm going to cut into halves because what we want is to expose all this fat to heat really quickly to render it out as much as we possibly can. And then we want as much browning on the rest of it as we can get. So we're just gonna increase the surface area slightly. We don't wanna make a ton of work for ourselves. We don't wanna have to work in a bunch of different batches and everything, but we do want to get that heat exposure where we need it. This rice bran oil, you can use really any high heat oil, grapeseed oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, avocado oil. I don't really care what it is. Rice bran oil works great for us. But we also have grapeseed oil and safflower oil.
Grapefruit oil.
Grapefruit oil.
Hey Siri, set a timer for 45 minutes.
All right, so we've got our 2 cutlets there. This we're gonna grind up. So for our ground meat, we're just gonna use a food processor. We don't have a meat grinder, so this is gonna be the easiest solution. This is just the default blade. my porky hand that I'm trying not to touch anything with. I'm just gonna put it all in. I don't know why I'm being precious with this.
So delicate.
Yeah. Well, and we're gonna make meatballs with this. So really what we wanna do is just like get the fat blended in. And that looks pretty good. So super easy there. This fat is starting to get some like color on it. You can see that. Got some good color going there. And we're gonna start our stock, which is gonna be a really small amount of stock. I think we'll get about 1 liter out of it, which would be fantastic, frankly. So I'm going to fill this pan with about 2 liters of cold water. This is like the most easy mode stock I've ever made. So we're gonna add our pork bone. I'm gonna move this out of the way. We're gonna cut this carrot in half. We're gonna cut the onion in half, skin and all. Just throw it right in. And we're gonna throw in 2 bay leaves, and that's it. You could add peppercorns if you wanted or something like that, but we're gonna keep this one real simple. So we're gonna use this as the base for some beans that we're gonna cook down later, again in the Instant Pot like we did before, and then also for the braising liquid for some ossobuco that we're gonna make, or ossobuco style pork, which is one of my favorite things. We used to make it with pork shank a lot, and it was so good. So this is something we're gonna kind of imitate.
Does this go in here?
It does, thank you. Yeah, we got some fun dishes. We're gonna do some pork meatballs with pasta. We're gonna do some katsu and rice. We're gonna do some barbecue pulled pork sandwiches. We're gonna do some carnitas-ish nachos. Yeah, I'm very excited. Ossobuco style pork with risotto. I think this hits a lot of different flavor profiles, and it's gonna get us a lot of different characteristics to keep this from being boring.
This is gonna be a good week.
Pork week's a good week.
We got a good lineup.
So we just need to bring this up to a boil, and we're gonna remove the lid, and then we're gonna like let it simmer for a while and reduce. And we should end up with something that's pretty good. It'll be a pretty mild stock, but it'll be really useful as a base and add a lot of flavor. Yeah, so basically the dishes we have in here right now are gonna be the start of our ossobuco style pork, of our barbecue pulled pork, and of our carnitas. So normally we would cook each of these in a different set of ingredients, but if we get them started together in a neutral base, we can take them and finish them in that stock, or whatever the sauce is for those dishes, and basically end up with those flavors still embedded in them, but not so time consuming. We put up the beef episode last night. I think it went up at midnight. I had to go over to a friend's house to upload it because we don't have good internet here even.
Yeah.
And thank you, Josh.
We're really roughing it out here.
The response has been very positive, which I appreciate.
Good.
We got a lot of messages of people saying like, thank you, or like, we're gonna make this thing, which is exciting.
That's great.
That's great.
What we wanted from this.
Yeah, it's really nice. All right, we got the scum coming up now. We're about to be really done with this phase, honestly. So I think we're largely just gonna let this simmer for, I don't know, as long as the bread's going. It's not gonna hurt anything, couple hours, until it's half, reduced by half. Should be fine. Instant Pot's up to pressure now, so it's going to be starting the timer in just a moment. So we're just gonna have to come back to you. I'm sorry, we just can't stand here for an hour and do nothing.
Yeah, it's a long time.
All right, stock's going great. Really nice color from those onion skins.
So now our dough is about double in size.
Double-ish.
So we need to add the rest of the ingredients. So we're going to do 250 grams more of flour to this. 50 grams of oil. No, it's gotta be perfect.
About it.
It's gotta be perfect. Close enough. Okay.
It's gotta be perfect. Nope.
I'm bored. 251.
I'm bored.
250 grams of
So you need
flour.
50, 35, and what, 15? 15, yay, math. I'm gonna start this.
Now we need 50 grams of oil. For the oil I'm using, you want to use a neutral oil. We're going with rice bran. Then we need, what's half of 70? 35?
35.
35 grams of sugar. 35 on the dot.
Sick, 15 of that.
15 grams of salt.
Your dough needs more hydration, so let's get going.
All right, ready. And then we just add it into the standing mixer.
What a weird presentation. What are you doing to me?
Check out these buns. Okay. Now that we've got our nice homogeneous dough, should look kind of like this. Very easy to hold without it sticking to you.
That oil really helps for that.
Yeah.
Makes your life easier.
Now what we're going to do is measure these out into 24 rolls.
12.
12 rolls.
So you're gonna have.
Around 70 grams per. $62. 73.
Thank you for reading it.
I'm gonna get it. 70 on the dot.
You think so, huh?
Mm-hmm. Ready?
This recipe is originally called nice buns because the measurement I was using
70.
when I divided it equally was 69. I thought that was very funny.
Nice.
That's a really pretty bun. You should just leave it like that.
This is my perfect little bun. Look how weird it is. What I like to do is fold the ends in on each other, kind of 4 times around. First, get everything ugly underneath that little guy. Kind of looks like my uncle. And
What?
then,
Is that a man-faced stink bug joke from Animal Crossing?
yeah. And then I like to kind of roll the dough on the cutting board, the ugly side down to smooth out the top and keep the ugly stuff at the bottom where you folded everything through. Ta-da.
You really want that tight surface on it. That's the important part. All right. Do you want a towel or do you? Yeah, let's do a towel. Let's not waste plastic.
All right, and then once you've got your buns all in a row, you're gonna cover it with a towel again and let it rest for another 45 minutes.
Let's give it 45 minutes. That'll do.
Until they're proofed.
It's really easy to see how they're proofing with plastic, which is part of why I put that in the first place. But I prefer a towel generally just because I don't want to throw away a bunch of plastic.
Actually, we'll leave it kind of loose so that they can breathe a little. Grow, babies.
Yeah, the only real thing you're trying to avoid is them drying out. All right, we've got our pork done. It has decompressed naturally after the 1 hour timer.
And we also have our buns done. Check out these fluffy
Those
boys.
are beautiful.
Thanks.
You don't gotta push that hard. Why are you gonna ruin that one?
Ah, it'll be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and just baste these in milk. Usually you would use an egg, but we only have 1 egg left for the week. So instead of using an egg, we're going to substitute the egg wash for a milk wash and just use some of the milk that we have that's
Beautiful.
probably going to go bad this week. So
I think that's everything. We've got some juice in here. I'll use that to kind of seal it, I guess. I'm gonna break this up real quick. It is pretty tender, so it's really breaking up easily, just with the tongs even. I just want to kind of split this up so it's even.
And I'm going to sprinkle salt on top of these. And then these need to go in a 375-degree oven for about 12 to 15 minutes.
So let's just seal these up with some juices. It's not going to do much other than help them
Stay
not start
moist.
getting gross. There's a little bit of fat in there, but it's mostly water, so it won't really penetrate it as much as you would hope, I think. Our stock is also coming to the end, actually, conveniently right now. So we can just call that. Let's check the flavor on this guy.
12 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, very flavorful. Really high on the carroty side. Maybe too much carrot in there. But it's a pretty strong flavor, and it's gonna do great for our beans and for whatever else we need it for. It kind of has a default Mirepoix character, so we just we'll maybe need less Mirepoix anytime we are actually going to use that, which might be the ossobuco or something like
Oh,
that.
great. Yeah, yeah.
So really easy there. It's not the strongest stock I've had. It's definitely a mild stock, but it definitely has a lot of that like Mirepoix coming out. So we'll just scoop this off into a container and call it a day.
Great.
All right, let's look at these buns.
Our buns are done, I think. It's been about 15 minutes, so, ooh, baby, look at those. Look at these beautiful toasty buns. Those look pretty good to me.
Yeah, those do. Those will be great for our shredded pork.
Yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna let these sit, and then whenever we're ready to make them, probably in the next couple of days, because they'll go stale in about 3 days. So in the next couple of days, we'll make the pulled pork.
As soon as those are cooled, we'll throw them in a bag of some kind.
Yeah. But these gotta cool for a while.
We just wrap them in a towel. That's probably the move.
And now we're ready for the week. All right, here we go. Pork week.
Pork week.
Prepped, ready. All right, we'll see you.
All right, if there's one recipe that is like the most obvious when you're making pork shoulder, I think barbecue's it. So let's just get that one out of the way. I'm not gonna go for any particular style of barbecue sauce. I like a mustardy sauce, but I know a lot of people are pretty into like the tomato-y, brown sugary one. I'm just gonna kind of make like a real barbecue mix 'em up.
Barbecue mix them up.
Yeah, I think that'll be great.
I'm working on slaw for our pulled pork because
We need some
I
veggies.
love slaw with pulled pork. I just think it's great. So
We didn't get enough leafy veggies in last time.
Truly.
I wasn't quite happy with that, so.
we're gonna try to add them in wherever we can. And tonight it's going to be in the form of slaw. So we're going to take a little bit of cabbage and we're gonna smother that in some mayo that we're gonna make from scratch. So we're going to just do 1 egg yolk, a little bit of neutral oil. I'm using grapeseed. Some vinegar. We're using red wine vinegar that we've made, but you can also use white wine vinegar if you have it on hand. And we're gonna throw some celery seed in there.
All right, I'm just gonna take our pork from last night. This has a nice little fat cap on top. As you can see there, that's gonna make our sauce nice and body-y.
Body.
Bodylicious. What would the word be? Bodacious. It's gonna make it bodacious. We got acious back in it. All right.
You got it.
If that doesn't work, I'm gonna add some fat in the form of butter. I don't think I will probably need that, but it's like my backup. As far as our base, I'm gonna aim for kind of the ketchup-y, molassesy base, and then I'm just gonna add some mustard and some apple cider vinegar. That's pretty common across all the types, but I want a little bit of mustard in there for my own personal taste. So let's get this going over medium-low heat. And we're just gonna squirt a bunch of ketchup in there. This is ketchup I made for another video, and in that video it didn't spray out of the bottle all over me as soon as I opened it.
While he's cleaning himself up, I'm just measuring out 100 grams of a neutral oil. I'm using grapeseed oil for my mayo concoction.
All right, so we're gonna put, I don't know, 1/4 cup or so of ketchup into this pan, back from whence it came.
And then I'm adding 20 grams of red wine vinegar to the mayo mix. And I think I'm gonna add the celery seed in after.
Yeah,
Just kind
good
of
call.
like stir it in. Otherwise I feel like it might get a little weird.
Give that a couple tablespoons of mustard, a little bit of apple cider vinegar to loosen it up. We don't want this to get too thin because we don't have a ton of time to reduce it. Then once this is nice and homogeneous, we'll just give it a little bit of brown sugar to sweeten it up. I don't like it too like overly sweet. I find that it's really easy for barbecue to get kind of cloying really fast.
I like that this is a little bit lighter mayo. I think it's gonna go really, really well with the cabbage. Because you don't want cabbage to be like, you want it to be coated in it, but you don't want the mayo to be too viscous.
All right, so now I've got my
This is gonna be good.
barbecue together. I'm just gonna pour all of our cold pork in from last night and toss it right in the barbecue sauce. It's a pretty mild barbecue sauce at this point, so I don't really need to worry about like adjusting the flavor or like, I can do all that after the fact. I wanna figure out what it's gonna taste like with the pork and then go from there. Also, if it reduces around the pork, you end up with something really nice and glossy, and that's what we're gonna aim for. All right, we're just gonna get this simmering away for a little bit. Let's check our buns out that we made last night, make sure they're still in good shape. Those are great.
Ooh.
Try that bad boy. It's tangy,
Really tastes the
it's
mustard.
sweet, it's mustardy.
I love mustard, so I'm for it.
Me too.
Mustard on everything.
Oh, we started right at 7:30.
Ah, great.
It's currently 7:54.
Damn. We're definitely gonna get this done in an hour.
Dang, baby.
I think this is gonna be excellent.
I mean, it's coated in mayo. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
We could totally have pickles with this sometime. Like, quick pickles would be great. Why didn't you just give it to me on the fork? You're like, no. Let me put this in my hand.
Here, take this.
Let's get in there. Yeah.
Much better. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Should we
Now it's
put
a
pepper
party.
in it?
Pepper, like salt and pepper, or like pepper flakes, or
Salt and pepper.
if you want.
Let's do a little more tanginess in there.
It's kind of heading in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
Pushing
It's getting there.
Here we've got
Oh, yeah.
our pork just about wrapped up here. It doesn't have as much body as I'd quite like, so I'm gonna add a tiny bit of butter. Not a ton, just a little. Just to give it that unctuousness. It's like the same reason you add butter to finished pasta. It just gives it such a glossy texture on the finished product. Nothing greasy, just like a little extra zhuzh.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so here we got our pulled pork. Nice and saucy,
I like them sloppy.
nice and loose. So it's gonna sit in the sandwich nicely, but also like kind of soak the sauce into the bread, which is awesome. We don't want to get too sloppy, but it's a little sloppy. Dun, 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 dun. Can't get the camera straight. There we go. Barbecue pulled pork, a little bit of coleslaw on a fresh homemade bun. Doesn't get much easier or more delicious. So what do we think? What's the assessment?
It's so good. It's very tangy, very light. Like the barbecue sauce is a very light barbecue sauce. I think I'm used to a little bit heavier barbecue sauce, but I really, really like it. I like extra sauce, so I can like mop up the sauce with my bread. And so this is fantastic because I can definitely do that with this recipe. And I think the coleslaw, I'm just gonna go ahead and pat myself on the back because this coleslaw is awesome. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
What do you think?
You said you were used to a
Thicker sauce?
thicker sauce. Yeah, I think it's a little thin. It could be thicker. I think adding more sugar would have done that, but it also would have changed the flavor a lot. I could have definitely gone for like a cornstarchy thing if I wanted to thicken it more, but I think the flavor's on point, and I think it soaks into everything really well. So I'm not too upset about that, especially for the small number of ingredients I used to make it happen.
Yeah, it's like nice and bright.
Yeah, I really like
Not like
an
heavy.
acidic, like Carolina style barbecue, rather than something like a Kansas City style where it's like really thick and really molassesy. Like that's just not for me. I do like a little bit of like the tomatoey, like molassesy flavor from the brown sugar, and obviously like I love tomatoes, so
Yeah.
I'm always gonna love a tomato barbecue sauce. But I appreciate the lightness. It's easy for this dish to get really heavy really fast, and I'm glad this isn't that.
Totally.
Out of 5 cabin fevers.
5 cabin fevers?
Yeah.
I like that. Out of 5 cabin fevers, I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a solid 4.5. I'm really confident in this.
Confident in it. I don't know what that means. Why confident?
In this being like one of the winners for the week.
Oh, you think this is gonna be the best?
Yeah, I think this is gonna be
Wow.
like one of the best.
So you're saying it's
I'm
gonna
just
be
going
a downward trend from here?
I'm just going into this week.
It's all downhill from
already
here.
like, does it get better than the pulled cork? Nah, we'll see. Out of 5 trotters.
Trotter would be really good. I think this is a very good dish, even for non-quarantine times. I'm very happy with everything we've made so far in terms of like, it was all good food. Some of them are better than others. This one is kind of, it's like on the generic side to me. It's so easy, it's so like, it was my default thinking as soon as we talked about pork shoulder, and I think that makes it hard for it to be special.
Does it have to be special if it's like good food that you can make?
I mean, it totally hits the point of this thing. Like, it's very good. Very super fast. Like we've been done for a few minutes now. I bet it took us half an hour.
Cheese.
No, fuck that, dude.
What?
Cheese on barbecue?
Oh, I love cheese on barbecue.
It's not fucking sloppy joes.
Who puts cheese on sloppy joes? What are you, a monster? Weird.
So I'm gonna give it a 4.
That's pretty high marks.
It's really good barbecue. It's really good slaw. It's really good pork. It's really good buns. It would be hard for me not to give that a pretty good score.
4 trotters.
4 trotters.
I'm into it.
Quarantine pro tip. Cabbage. Great leafy vegetable to keep on hand.
Stays forever. Okay, what's the time first? Time
All right,
check.
time check. 7:19.
We'll round up and say 7:20.
You think we're gonna need that?
Yeah.
I don't like where your head's at.
I think
Be confident. It's tonkatsu. It's gonna be great.
you're so much more excited about this dish than I am.
Tonkatsu is so good. Not to be confused with tonkotsu, which is a milky pork broth. Ton is the Sino-Japanese word for pork. And boy, howdy, could I not be more excited for this dish. Although we're using the completely wrong meat. It is pork,
Yeah.
but it's the wrong cut.
It's going to be interesting. I have faith that we can make it something
It's
good.
gonna be delicious, so you don't need to worry about that.
Okay.
All right, so anytime you have fried pork in Japan, or fried really mostly anything, you have a pile of shredded cabbage. We'll get some rice going. We'll get maybe some pickles involved at some point. But basically, we're gonna make the tonkatsu sauce that we made for our hayashi rice last week, which was super easy. It's actually a lot of the same ingredients we made for the barbecue sauce last night, but without the mustard. And we're gonna end up in a great place, and I'm very excited. Fussing about lack of mustard.
I like the mustard.
This is gonna go fast. It seems complex, but it's super, super easy.
Yeah,
We're just gonna shallow fry. So simple. You have a chance at redemption with your koshi
I
curry
know.
rice.
We're doing the same rice we did last time, and I'm very excited to prove that I can actually make this.
Well, now you've really
This is
saved
my
the challenge.
second chance to prove myself.
You should knock on some wood.
There you go.
All right.
Wood knocked on.
Wood knocked. Cool. This is gonna go quick. But first things first, I'm gonna get some oil going.
And I'm gonna soak this rice this time. because it's Japanese rice, and if you're using Japanese rice, all the recommendations are to soak it for 30 minutes to an hour.
Short grain rice in general is like way more starchy than long grain rice, so rinsing it is paramount, but soaking it is also really helpful. Gets all the moisture into the middle of the rice grain, so it's going to cook really evenly.
Yeah.
Water is a much better conveyor of heat than starch is, so keeping that consistent across the entire rice grain is going to make our lives easier.
And then while that's soaking, I'm gonna go ahead and cut up our cabbage that we're going to use in this dish. This is the same cabbage we used, well, it's from the same cabbage that we used yesterday in our barbecue. And I'm just gonna cut up a fourth of this. So hopefully we can find a use for
You're going to cut half of it. So you end up with a quarter.
Yes. We're gonna cut a half of the half to end up with a quarter of the cabbage. And then I'm just gonna use a mandolin this time. Shave it off.
All right, we're gonna pound these cutlets we made the other night nice and flat. We want to tenderize these bad boys. All right, so in this pot over medium heat, I've got about an inch of grapeseed oil going. That's gonna be our frying medium. Nice and neutral, nothing too intense. Shouldn't end up with any flavor from it.
And if you ever use a mandolin like this, a Kevlar glove is awesome so you don't cut your fingers. Like I would.
Ooh, very fine.
Nice and fine.
Cabbagey. It's really crisp still. That's crazy. All right, time to get these cutlets breaded. One egg. Yeah, definitely lost some skin to them.
Oh, little babies. And then we're just going to soak this cabbage that we just sliced up into nice thin little ribbons in some water and some salt.
A ton of flour. It's in short supply right now, but a little bit will work. And then we're going to use Panko breadcrumbs to finish them, just to get things started off right.
There we go.
Want to really coat that evenly, so you can see that we're pretty even there now. Get a little bit there. We don't want any extra though. And we're going to go right into our egg bath. We want one hand to be our wet hand. And unfortunately, I picked the wrong one because it's my offhand, but it's not on the right side for our panko, which is inconvenient. And then just dip it right in the panko. I've heard that adding oil helps the breadcrumbs adhere to the outside if you add oil to your egg. I've never had a problem with it adhering though. So if you have problems with it, maybe add some oil. Maybe it's like a fat content of the egg problem or something like that, but it just hasn't been an issue for me personally.
Oops, sorry.
All right, how's our oil doing here?
All right. And then while he's working on that, I'm going to start the sauce for this dish, the tonkatsu sauce. We're going to start by adding about a half cup to a cup of ketchup.
Quarter to a half. You don't need that much.
Quarter to a half?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll also incorporate some of our mirin, and then we'll cook that down. I'm just going to kind of eyeball this.
Our oil's up to temp now, so we're going to throw one of these pork cutlets in. And do it very gently.
All right, and I'm going to add the rest of our ingredients to the tonkatsu sauce. So we're going to add a dash of our soy sauce and a little bit of Worcestershire.
Already we're getting some good like golden brown colors on the outside.
It kind of reminds me of A1 sauce.
I mean, you're not that far off. I mean, it's like for
Ketchup
fried
and-
meat, right?
Yeah.
I was firmly in like the A1 steak sauce camp as a kid. Like, I'd go to my grandma's house and like I would eat chicken nuggets with A1
This has to
sauce,
go down.
which was my favorite like after school snack.
Chicken?
Chicken nuggets and A1
Oh,
sauce.
chicken
So
nuggets
good.
and A1.
And then any I had left on my plate, I would just like potato chips and A1 sauce. So good. So, so good. I've not had A1 sauce in at least a decade at this point, but damn, was that not like the best snack. So this is gonna be a double fry process. So we're gonna pull out our cutlet now. You can see how nice and golden brown that is already, but it's probably not all the way cooked through on the inside. So we wanna let it sit for a little bit. And then we're gonna fry it again at a higher temperature later so that we get nice, crispy exterior.
Tonkatsu sauce is done. Yep. Perfect. I don't like my tonkatsu sauce very sweet, so I always go a little less on the mirin, but it's very tangy. So I like to squeeze it in. I like to dump it into like a squeezy bottle. Oh, my hand always gives out halfway.
Sarah's a sauce fiend, so
No sauce goes to waste.
it is very interesting to me that we're like making so many ketchup-based sauces, because for the longest time I hated ketchup and I would have just stopped the recipe there. Making our own ketchup has been such like a liberator for me personally, as someone who just despises Heinz. Not the, well, Heinz ketchup. I don't know that I like any of their sauces, but Heinz ketchup is what I specifically meant. I mean, I do like A1, so pretty sure that's a Heinz joint.
I'm pretty sure it is, right? It's gotta be.
All right, we've got our cutlet cook number one, our fry number one done. We're bringing the oil up to about 375. Is where I like to do a second fry. Our first was at 350, which is a standard kind of deep fry situation.
All right, now I think that's about enough time for the rice to soak. We should probably get going on it. So now we're going to rinse the rice.
It's 7:44.
Ah!
Starting to get close on the rice here, so I'm gonna bring that oil back up to heat.
Can you beer me? Oh!
Give something like 30 seconds on each side. At 375, just to get that little crisp back in it. A little pep in its step. A little crunch in its bunch. Oh, beautiful. Look at that bad boy. I'm gonna get this
Ready for us.
cabbage strained out. We're not in a rush. The stuffing's so cool, so how's that doing?
I think it's doing okay. I think it'll soak up.
That's pretty good, yeah. That's in good shape. I think we're good on this rice. Oh yeah. This is worlds apart from the last batch. Look at that.
Okay.
Fluffy as all hell.
We did it!
You did it.
Well, you were there to support me through the hard times.
I always find that it's the emotional coach that should really take the victory.
Yeah. All the credit for the victory?
Yep.
Well,
Every Olympian psychologist should be up there on the podium. I'm gonna put the togarashi between the layers.
betwixt?
Betwixt. All right, we got a nice sliced tonkatsu, super crispy, absolutely beautiful.
Ooh, look at that. I
want about half that.
Okay. Well, that sucked. That just plopped right in the middle.
That's just pickled ginger that I think is nice. That doesn't mean you need it by any stretch. But whoo boy, do I love pickled ginger.
Adds a kick. Ba-da, 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 ba-da.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Get these crunchities.
What time is it? Oh, when do we finish?
8:17.
Oh my god. Just under an hour.
A little salty.
There's some sweetness, there's some
Clean.
saltiness. It's very clean tasting. Definitely not heavy, which is weird because this is fried pork. Oh,
I think the panko helps. I think having it be a thin piece helps.
I think it should be good.
You did. Out of 5 crispy porks.
Out of 5 crispy porks. Yeah, no complaints. This is like a 5. What do we call it? Tonkatsu?
5 whatevers. 5 stars.
This is 5 pork butts. Make this. Please make it. If you had just the cabbage and the pork, that would make an excellent dish. You don't need the rice.
I think you can make a rad sandwich out of this. I love katsu sandwich. So good. I do want a little more ginger, honestly.
Ooh, the ginger is making my nose run.
I think pickles generally are very helpful for this kind of thing because it can be a little starchy. And I think acidity, it really helps starchiness.
Lighten it up.
But you could also add vinegar to your rice, like a sushi rice.
If you do want that like acidic flavor, but you don't have pickled ginger, just add a little dab of
Rice wine vinegar or something?
rice wine vinegar, any vinegar you have really. You could probably even get away with red wine vinegar.
I don't think I would fuck with distilled white vinegar.
Sherry vinegar?
That seems like a little
Champagne
weird.
vinegar.
Champagne vinegar would be fine. That's pretty mild.
There you go. Just throw a little vinegar on it. Perfect. Perfect. Good job.
We got a
babe.
long way to go yet. What are you talking about?
I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna eat it off camera. Like, I'm not a pig.
It is.
Okay, it is 8:09
8:09 on a Wednesday.
on a Wednesday.
It's been a long day for everyone involved.
Yeah.
And so we're going to dig in and make at least a very good food.
Yeah. Meatballs. Meatballs and pasta and Brussels sprouts.
Spaghetti and meatballs. We got some Brussies in there. In the mix, get us our leafy greens. And we'll go. This is an easy dish. It takes a little bit of time because there's a little bit of simmering involved and we have to bring a ton of water up to a boil, but
I think we can do it in under an hour. We better. I'm not gonna last. I'm very tired.
we'll get there.
I'm gonna make up our meatballs this time. We're going to do a combination of a little bit of, actually we've got our ground meat that we ground up over the weekend, as you probably maybe remember if you saw that video. To that we're going to add a little bit of crushed red pepper flakes. We'll add a little bit of panko. Oh, God, I got a pepper flake in my throat. Some oregano. I got it in me. And a little bit of salt. We're gonna keep it easy. Normally you would add an egg to this, but because eggs are short on supply right now, we're going sans egg.
I mean, I generally prefer them without egg. It's just that egg helps stabilize the mix and it makes it a little easier to work with.
And then I'm just gonna use my hands, mix it around.
I'm just getting our water up to a boil so that we got that ready for the pasta when we're ready to put that in. And then I'm also gonna start our pasta sauce. We're just gonna go with a little bit of garlic and some canned tomatoes. We'll get our whole San Marzano tomatoes that we've been using for the past couple weeks. We've got a lot of overlap in the ingredients between tonight and last night. It's just like a kind of different configuration, and that's the kind of thing that this whole experiment's been about. It makes me very excited when we have like
One thing used 4 times.
another piece of pork shoulder. We've also got the panko. We've also got some of the like same seasonings. We've got.
I think I need more stuff.
We've been going through the same ingredients the same way across many different flavor profiles, and that makes me very excited when it really works that way.
I want these to be spicy.
Oh, they're gonna be. That was a lot of chili flakes.
Yeah. Spicy meatball.
But that'll also season our sauce. That's gonna be the determining flavorant.
Yeah, I'm just gonna eyeball these meaty boys. See how many meatballs we can get out of 1 pound of meat. I don't know how much this is.
I don't know. I took 3.5 pounds of meat and I divided
You
it
know
up
what?
into 5
We could
parts.
probably weigh it and find out.
All right, this is enough for me. We'll be fine. I'm just gonna slice this garlic up. And we're gonna saute it in olive oil and then add our tomatoes. Keep it super, super, super simple. All right, so we're just gonna get some olive oil going in our le creuset. We just want a kind of like decent sized pot for all the sauce we're gonna put in, as well as the meatballs.
It takes a minute to finesse these meaty balls.
These aren't perfect Brussels sprouts. I'm really just peeling off the outside, much like any other kind of leaf vegetable. I kind of think of these as baby cabbages. I treat them almost exactly the same way.
Those are huge Brussels sprouts.
I know, there's some beefy little boys. I'm just quartering these bad boys so that we've got something that has a good amount of surface area that's flat, because that's gonna make it easier to caramelize. The more rounded it is, the harder it is to get consistent crispiness. So we want to expose as much as we can to our oil, which is going to be in that saute pan behind me. It's a little carbon steel guy. It's really great for putting a good sear on something. So we're gonna use it for both the meatballs and the Brussels sprouts. So all that sausage flavor is gonna go into the sauce. It's gonna go into the meat. It's gonna go into the Brussels sprouts. It's really gonna be the core of our meal.
The Brussies.
The Brussies.
All right,
You
here
could
we
do like
go.
a kale
Final
soup.
count here. 476 grams is, can you do this?
What?
No, I don't want you to tar it. No, I want you to mold it. I want to see how many pounds.
That's
6.
1 pound.
1 pound. 1 pound of meat.
Was that including your tray?
No,
Great.
tray free.
So free.
And now we're gonna take these bad boys and fry them up with some olive oil.
All right. We got our oil in here up to temp. Let's get our garlic in. That's not gonna need to go for very long at all. Those are just gonna brown for just a little bit, just to get some fair browning color, like some very slight color onto them. Oh yeah, and we're there. And I'm pulling it off into other pans already, which is, a little garlic in the meatballs won't hurt, but let's get these tomatoes in. All right, so our sauce is now basically gonna be ready to go whenever you're ready for it.
Great.
So I'm gonna throw this Le Creuset onto that. We don't need to reduce it a ton, so I'll keep the edge off, but we're gonna optimize for a simple sauce that's going to reduce later. All right, I'm gonna try and get 100 grams-ish per person. For some reason, my scale's in pounds and ounces, which is nonsense. Who does that? We don't use imperial in this household.
Not me.
I was always wondering how to measure that, and then I saw that fun trick on a Bon Appetit video featuring my good future friend Chris Morocco. Call me Chris. And I'm very excited
Thirsty.
for that solution. Thirsty for Chris Morocco? Wouldn't you be too,
No,
Sarah?
I would not. Thirsty for
You
Claire.
don't want those super tasting I can't even get through that line without laughing. One more thing I'm gonna need is a little bit of red wine vinegar. So we're gonna give our Brussies a little cheesy, acidy sauce. This pasta is it's a spaghetti. It's actually extruded sideways through a set of strings that look kind of like a guitar, which is why it's called chitarra. Spaghetti alla chitarra. Spaghetti.
Fun fact. Fun
Guitar
facts with
style.
Bryn.
Fun fact with Bryn, I think it's really cool, and it holds on to sauce really good. Let them brown on each side before you rotate them.
Don't tell me how to rotate my balls. I can handle my balls.
If I adjusted my balls every time you did,
We'd have a problem.
correct. So the browning is really just the flavor, because we're putting it into sauce anyway, so the crispiness is gonna decrease, regardless.
Yeah, but it's all gonna soak into that good.
Correct. That is the goal, is to get it all into the good. That tomatoey good. All right, we've got our meatballs in. We're just gonna cover those, and then
Throw in the Brussels sprouts.
I think I'm gonna move this pot over to the other side. All right, now let's get these heated up a little bit. pan is very heavy. Get them tossed in that fat.
Fancy flips.
Now that they're coated in oil, we just want to leave them sitting flat until they can get some browning on that side completely. In the meantime, we'll salt the top a little bit. That's going to pull a little bit of the water out. And it's also going to season them for the other side, where we're going to end up with like a nice crisp as well. A little bit of, I'm going to add some more olive oil. And then I'm going to add a little bit of red wine vinegar. We're basically going to build a little slightly acidic sauce around these guys. Turn that heat back up now that we've got a little more liquid in our mix. There we go, starting to reduce. And then I'm gonna we're right at the end of our Parmesan block. And then we're gonna add a lot more fat in the form of Parmesan cheese. Starting to get to the point where everything is starting to like really thin down to the point where it's thin, reduced down to the point where it's thick.
Oh.
So kind of the opposite of thin. It's reducing, which is thinning, but it's getting thicker.
Smells awesome.
All right, meal's done. 8:58 was the time.
Whoa, just in time.
Let's do plates. Is that all right with you?
Yeah. It sounds great.
All right, so there you go. We got some meatballs, we got some spaghetti alla chitarra, we've got some Brussels sprouts in a nice acidic kind of cooked vinaigrette. This is gonna be dope as hell. This is gonna be delicious.
First blush, Brussels sprouts are incredible.
I love pan-fried Brussels sprouts because roasting them takes so long.
It takes forever.
And they don't almost always taste great. Kind of neutral. But building a pan sauce around them really works.
Okay, so meatballs without an egg. Very good. A little dense, I think, but
I don't feel like they're more dense than they would be with an egg. So they're very consistent, which I appreciate. They're well cooked.
very spicy.
Salty, oregano, chili. That hits a lot of good notes for me personally.
This is definitely enough chili flakes.
Yeah. I don't feel like it's a bad amount though.
Okay. Out of 5.
Oh man, you want a rating already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Out of 5. Out of 5 balls. Ooh. There's 5 meatballs on the plate.
You want me to give it a ball rating? I love this dish. There's nothing different between this and what I would do outside of quarantine. It's like very on point. I might use like more herbs like on the surface, like get more like parsley and stuff in there. And the Brussels sprouts are fantastic with it.
Yeah, I think the Brussels sprouts are good. If you're trying to go low carb too, just do Brussels sprouts.
That said,
Skip the pasta.
this being,
Or do less pasta and more Brussels sprouts.
this
Perfect.
being fully what I would do outside of quarantine. I wouldn't normally grind my own pork, but that is something that I'm like, oh, that's kind of a cool thing. That was just kind of like a, hey, we have pork shoulder, we're going to do this instead of buying ground pork separately. That was a learning, but I still think this dish, it's very good. I don't think I can rate everything a 5, is all I'm saying. I think that this is I think this is like a 3.5.
Ooh.
I love pasta. So pasta is already higher up the scale for me. But This is just like middle of the road from my perspective. It's above the bar where it's like got all the flavors I need. It's doing all the things I need pasta to do, but it's not as good as last night's meal, especially in terms of the quarantine. Like I'm not doing anything special for it. It doesn't feel like a miracle that it happened. Like the tonkatsu was so good with so little.
Yeah. That's your bar for this? Jesus. Or that's your bar for a 5?
Yeah.
It's like miracle dish.
Yeah, that was so absurd that it came together that well with what we put into it, from my perspective. Whereas this is like, oh, of course this worked. It's spaghetti and meatballs. Yeah, it's gonna be great. What do you think?
I'm already not a huge pasta fan. I'll eat pasta, and I do enjoy it, but it's not my favorite thing to eat. So I went into this day anticipating that it was going to be filling. And that was about it. Aside from like, it'll be good, it'll be filling. The Brussels sprouts are a surprising addition. I love these. I would eat an entire plate of just the Brussels sprouts and maybe 1 or 2 of the meatballs. I'm gonna give this a solid 3.5.
We're in agreement. 2 nights in a row.
3.5 I give this. Eat it. Happy to eat it. I'm starving today, so this feels amazing in my tummy.
Okay.
I think where it's missing is just like lightness. Everything's very heavy. The Brussels sprouts are heavy, the pasta's heavy, the meatballs are heavy. There's no like levity to
There's
this
no
dish.
contrast to it. I see. That's fair.
And I think that's where it loses me a little bit. But 3.5 I think is a really solid rating for this. And if you love pasta, then this is an incredible dish to make. And really easy to come together with just a few ingredients. So, I don't know, make it.
3.5 doesn't sound like I like it a lot. I like it a lot. I just like all pasta a lot.
Yeah.
So I know there's room for improvement in the pasta game. That said, this is fantastic. And she's right, you should make it.
Yeah.
It's time to eat this. I can't eat it the way I want to on camera. See you later.
Well,
So
it's
cheesy.
7:09. Let's time check.
7:09. I got chippies, and that's
And
all that matters to me.
we've
I'm
got
done.
chips,
Dinner's over. All right.
We've got pork. We've got black beans. I think it's going to be nacho night.
Yeah. So we're gonna make carnitas nachos. Well, carnitas-ish. Ish. There's a lot of caveats there. We will get a lot of the flavors in, but we're doing it completely wrong.
Yeah.
For one, we're starting from that pork that we shredded the other night on Sunday. And we're missing some ingredients that we'd usually have. Orange would be one, but we don't have oranges, so we're gonna use orange peel. We're gonna use some cinnamon, which is typical. We'd usually also confit the pork, which we aren't doing. We would also then braise it in like milk and beer and all of our seasonings. That's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is try and extract as many of those flavors as we can from the individual elements and just force feed them into the carnitas as rapidly as possible.
Let's do it. I'm into it.
All right,
Let's go.
let's get that pork stock going. That's gonna be the longest thing.
Pork stock. Well, the
Everything
pork
else
stock's
will
not
be
going to be the longest thing. The beans are going to be the longest.
Yeah, but those are necessary
because
for it.
they need 45
So this is the pork
minutes
stock we
in the
made.
pressure cooker. Here we go.
It's a good song.
Pork stock.
Fucking banger.
Yeah.
I don't think we need a whole onion, but I'm just gonna loosely chop this because what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually build a paste out of our main ingredients for the carnitas.
There we go, baby.
And then we're just gonna simmer the pork we've got and add the paste a little bit at a time to build our flavors up. The things we don't have are mainly citrus, the orange, the limes we would use for, we're gonna make a little cabbage slaw to go on top, ensalada de pollo. Yeah, we'll figure it out. This is gonna be a pretty base level nachos. We don't have any salsa. We're gonna make instead a chipotle crema, which I think is gonna be fucking dope. We almost always put chipotle, like kind of
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
blended, what's the word?
This came open.
Nice.
That happened.
We always put blended canned chipotles on our nachos. That's one of my favorite things. So that's gonna be the base of our sauce. All right, I'm just gonna get this back up to a simmer. Melt down all the fat that was sitting on top, which we are definitely going to want. So that's gonna be our flavor carrier. All right, so instead of putting like a piece of orange in here, or like orange juice would be totally fine, I'm going to take a bunch of orange peel, not a ton, but a little bit, enough to build kind of a citrusy base. And then I want a small piece of cinnamon. I think I've got a little guy in here somewhere. I think powdered cinnamon would be probably fine. It's not gonna be amazing, but we also don't want a ton of cinnamon flavor in here. We just want like kind of a base.
It's all about that base.
All about that base.
All right, I think that's good. There's like a tiny little chunk in there, but I think with the beans, it won't be a big deal. So I'm just gonna toss the beans in now and then set the pressure so we can get these bad boys going.
We're gonna make a little sofrito of garlic, jalapeno, and onion, which is gonna be our flavor base. And then we're gonna kind of break that down a little bit over like medium heat, and then add that into our carnitas. We'll add our neutral oil. We're back on that safflower grind. So the reason we're going for the powdered angle is because the more surface area on an individual particle, like by percentage, the more flavor we're gonna extract faster. That smells very orangey and cinnamony, and I think that will be great. So we're gonna cook down our jalapenos. First, they'll get a bit milder. Wash my hands so I don't burn my eyes out later by mistake.
Yeah, don't do that.
Now, usually I would love like a raw salsa or something like this. Something like that for this dish. However, it's April. We're not gonna get there. Raw tomatoes are just not in season, let alone worth going out of the house for.
Time for me to get going on building this spicy sour cream topping in lieu of our salsa. So the way I'm going to approach this is just adding the amount of sour cream I want and then slowly adding the chipotles in until it gets to a consistency and a flavor that I like.
Should be a nice like deep red color, which will be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe like a pinky color.
I think it's going to be awesome. I don't think we need a ton of it, but we can have leftovers. And it'll be
Yeah, as before, we're trying to
spicy heaven.
keep everything in its like component parts as much as possible rather than combining things too early.
I like
So we'll just add enough.
spice. Yeah. What is going on?
I wonder if you're churning the sour cream into butter.
Oh my God, I think I am. I made chipotle butter.
Cultured butter, so there's that.
It tastes amazing. That's definitely butter.
Great. Not really what we need for our topping, but luckily you've got extras of both. You can store that. Keep it around, why
I'll
not?
squeeze this out and we'll have spicy butter, I guess.
That'd be great on a steak, I bet.
Ooh, yeah. Here we go, round two. To avoid making butter, we're just gonna try stirring it this time. This is looking better.
All right, so now I've pulled off our sofrito into a separate container. I'm gonna steal this guy, this hand blender, and I'm gonna chop that up real fine. So now I've got this super flavorful sofrito paste. All right, so now we've got some ground up seasonings. Just toss those straight in. I'm also gonna add a couple bay leaves and about half of our sofrito. I think the one thing we're missing that would be in a traditional carnitas is a little bit of sugar. Normally this would be piloncillo, but brown sugar I think is probably more common, so we'll go that route. Just crumbled up about a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, somewhere in there. And we're gonna get this over a little bit lower heat. We don't need to really cook it, we just need to simmer it and get all these flavors to blend together.
I think it's good. I don't think we need to do more.
Spicy, rich, refreshing, very good. All right, so I do need a little bit of oregano for this guy. And I think for the salad we would usually use lime. We do not have that. We have a little bit of lemon, but I also don't think that's the right acidity for this. I would rather go more in a slaw-ish direction, because it's very similar ingredients, and go with like a red wine vinegar, which I think will go really nicely with the pork anyway. It's definitely not the right way to do it, but it is probably the best way with what we've got. Kind of crunch the vinegar in there, break down a little bit of the cabbage because we don't want to have something too tough. We want something kind of light. All right, so once we've got the flavors kind of where we want them to be, we're gonna put this onto a baking sheet and crisp it up in the oven.
All right, time to get going on the chips.
I have more work to do tonight, so I'm excited to just like kind of munch on nachos as I'm working, because what better kind of work is there than nacho work?
All right, we want most of the bottom to be covered, but we also want to make sure the majority of the chips are getting their fair share of cheese and goodness.
Oh yeah. Whew. That's pretty good. This is some cheese. It's 2 types of cheddar that we made grilled cheese with the other day. On some milk bread that I've been working on a recipe for. Not really the right type of cheese, but it's gonna be fine. It could be worse than cheddar, that's for sure.
I think it's gonna be awesome.
All right, there's all your cheese, Sarah.
Oh, you used all of it?
Goodbye, snack cheese.
No. Goodbye, snack cheese.
Please stop. You're gonna kill me. Let's see if we can get that to crisp up. We don't have a broiler on this oven, so not ideal. What's going on? How's that butter going?
I'm trying to make it
I see a mass of butter.
Right?
Yeah. I
It's
think you're
coming
there.
there.
I think you're there.
You think I'm there?
Yeah.
We still have to squeeze it out though.
Yeah. Under running water. Cold running water.
In my hands?
Yep. Do you want gloves?
No, I can do it.
What's up, Goober? Max, come here. Come on up. Say hey.
You're so clean.
You just got a bath, huh? No nachos for you, sorry. You can go lay down though.
Look at my butter. Spread it on bread, but first it's going in the fridge.
Mistakes can go well, I guess is the outcome.
Happy accident Chipotle butter. Chipotle cultured butter. So fancy. It's a fancy butter.
So it's fancy. It's got culture. I feel like this is gonna lead you down a whole flavored butter path that I'm not prepared to follow you down. Sarah discovers compound butters. I'm worried that the cheese will be done very shortly.
The cheese is very melty, so we should probably take it out.
Okay.
Otherwise it's gonna burn. Ooh!
Beans! All right, now we got some crispy bits. Hell yeah.
Oh, they taste super black beany.
So ladle these out.
And then we'll throw some of the onions on top.
Yeah. This looks like a Midwest like taco pizza.
It kind of does.
Oh well. Pew, 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 pew. That slaw's kind of ugly, and there's a lot of beige going on. But the meat looks really good, and the cheese looks really good, and the beans look really good. Yeah, the nacho song.
We're not even going to do plates. Let's just eat it straight off the tray.
Yeah. We got enough dishes from this meal.
Yeah. Wow. It's sweeter than I was expecting. Like the meat is sweet.
There's a lot of flavor in each bite, though.
Yeah.
Damn.
There's like tanginess. I got a lot of sweet that first bite, I think, but I think the slaw is going to be the
Sweet, sour, spicy, salty, fatty, umami.
What time is it? How far do we go over?
10 minutes.
10 minutes over. All of that was the beans. If you have canned beans, that would reduce the amount of time it takes. Okay, I have 5 bean delays. What do you give this dish?
3.5. 3.
Why? Main reasons. Name 3. Can't do more than 3.
It hits the flavors I want, but doesn't do much more for me than that.
Sure.
A lot of textures.
Yeah.
That's great. It looks awful.
It looks terrible.
It's just beige on like light green on like medium green on beige on beige on beige.
And then the little black spots that kind of look like turds.
You said that. I don't believe that to be true. It's just an ugly dish. I think it needs more cabbage, honestly. It's good. I'll eat it. I'm happy to eat the rest of it, but it's just not my... This would not be my go-to out of this week.
Yeah. I don't think so either. Okay.
What about you? Out of 5, it took forever to get this pork crispies.
Out of 5 Chipotle butters.
Out of 5 Chipotle butters, what would you rate this?
Out of 5 happy accidents. I give this. I'm gonna probably say like 2.5 happy accidents. I don't care to make this again. But I'm glad we tried it. I just think it's too sweet for me. You know? I want there to be just like a little bit more zing. And there's just not. There's like a little bit of zing in the... I don't taste any of the sofrito.
The sofrito's sweet.
Is it? So I do taste it. But I just want a little more heat. I want a little more pizzazz, you know? And I'm not getting it. I'm getting a lot of like overly sweet
You
flavors.
want, my guess, pickled jalapenos.
I want, pickled jalapenos would be amazing on this, but yeah, I think, I don't know. I'll eat it tonight. I'm happy to eat it,
We could improve it.
but I think we can improve it.
All right, what do you like about it?
What do I like
What
about
would you
it?
What would you bring to your next nacho dish?
Black beans. Also, this Chipotle
We
sour
put them on
cream.
every time.
This Chipotle sour cream, for sure. I think that's about it.
I do like the
The slaw is not
pickled,
really...
I like the pickled cabbage a lot. Adds a nice brightness. Nice like splash of bitterness that kind of like breaks up the sweetness and the fattiness. So those are the 2 main flavors I get. There's a little bit of saltiness for sure, but the 2 main flavors are salty and like fatty. Or sorry, sweet and fatty. I actually think jalapenos curtidos would be amazing.
But I need more like pow, punch.
Balance. All right. That'll do it for me. See you tomorrow. We're gonna make some pork ossobuco, which I'm very excited about. Pork shank ossobuco is one of my favorites, and I think this will be pretty damn close. I think we can make it work really well. So, we'll see.
I have faith in you.
Aw, that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Aw. That's the nicest thing I've ever said to you.
Alrighty, let's do this thing. It is 7:17.
17.
And we're making something vaguely reminiscent of ossobuco, which is a delicious veal dish. I love ossobuco. I usually make it with pork shank though, because veal has ethical quandaries around it.
Concerns, yeah.
Yeah, and also pig's very good. So I haven't made this in maybe like 8 years.
Yeah.
In any form.
Don't really remember what this tastes like.
I remember making this for Christmas one year for like 20 people.
I do remember that.
And I made like 24 pork shanks. But it's been a very long time. So we're gonna figure it out. All right, I'm gonna get going on the pork aspect. There's a big sauce to make.
Yep, I'm gonna do our veg tonight, which is Brussels sprouts again. And we're gonna do some polenta with this dish.
That's our starch base. Cool.
Let's do it. Oh, cheers. It's Friday.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Good reminder. This week has been all one day, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
It's been a week.
It's been a week today. All right, we're gonna use a couple cups of chicken stock. I actually think we're gonna use maybe half of this. There's about 3 cups in here.
Yeah.
Or maybe like 2/3 of a liter. Get that melted down. And while we do that, we're gonna get together like a little kind of baby Mirepoix situation.
Aw, little baby.
And we need a tiny bit of the carrot here. We don't want to add a ton of sweetness because we're gonna get it in a lot of other places.
So.
Oh yeah, this is the half of an onion that was left over from
Yesterday.
our little like sofrito yesterday with the nachos.
Yep.
All right, let's get some garlic going. Tonight we're finally going to use one of my favorite preserved ingredients, and I'm very excited for it, which is anchovies in oil. So useful in developing like depth of flavor super fast. And when you like kind of break it down, unless they're like big pieces, it's pretty hard to taste, honestly. You just get this like kind of vague umami flavor. Let's get some olive oil going. And we're also gonna mash up one of our anchovies. Let's grab one of these guys out of here.
Okay.
Ooh, these are beautiful. It's like a nice big strip.
Let's make some Brussels sprout strips.
I guess I kind of think of anchovies kind of like garlic, where you don't necessarily want to eat raw garlic either, or like just garlic on its own. I mean, I'm sure you could eat anchovies in a lot of like pleasant ways, but as an ingredient, you really want to melt it down and just get the flavor like drawn out of it. It really kind of melts down in oil, so that's what we're going to aim for today.
It stores in oil, it melts in oil.
Go on.
It's just an oil fish.
It is an oily fish, correct. It's actually quite hot. So we're gonna get our carrots in first. Those are the hardest ingredients, so they're gonna take the longest to cook. Get a little more oil in there, just to mellow the cooking. Adding a little bit of cold oil in your hot oil is a great way to cool it down without really throwing off the balance. All right, that looks pretty good to me. We're gonna add in our we'll add half our onion. I don't think this is gonna be fully necessary. So we're just gonna build our sauce and then add our pork to it to finish. I think last night it kind of made it harder to cook when we had the meat in there first. So I'm not gonna do that again. I'll build the sauce first, reduce it, and go from there. You toss those because you don't need as much.
Makes sense.
Just taking just all the good parts. Is that the logic?
Yeah.
Got it.
So it's gonna take us like 25 minutes to make the polenta. Can you give me a time check?
Sure. 7:32.
Finally got done with those damn Brussels sprouts.
They look great though.
Dump them in.
Do you want me to chop up your garlic for you?
Sure. My hands are kind of tired.
I was gonna say just to get it going because I think you're gonna need it.
This is so many Brussels sprouts. No wonder it took so long.
Great. We're gonna have some like richness. We're gonna have some starch. We're gonna have some pretty bold flavors. I'm excited to have some veg that can stand up to it.
Leftovers with this. Put that at kind of like a medium heat. So in the Brussels sprouts, we're going to do garlic, which Bryn is kindly helping me out with because my hand hurts now after all those Brussels sprouts. And then we're going to add a little bit of white wine vinegar to give it a little bit of like tang, a little kick, a little pep in its Brussels sprout step. And then we're going to do some sweet paprika as well. Keep it pretty simple, pretty light.
Can you check that pan behind me?
Ooh, you're burning.
All right, you've got your garlic over there. Can you
I'm
please,
okay with this. I think it's going to taste awesome.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. A little bit of char never hurt anybody. Often adds depth of flavor. So I'm going to add both our anchovies and our garlic to this pan now. I'm going to get a little bit of thyme also. Dried thyme. And I'm going to add a little squirt of tomato paste, maybe like a, actually I might go a little more. I might do like 2 tablespoons in this because I want it to be fairly tomatoey. And I don't want to add a lot of mass and liquid like I would with the tomato, like canned tomatoes, but I don't want to add another thing that we have to reduce, if that makes sense. So we're already going to add liquid in the form of chicken stock. We're going to add wine.
It's already going to be pretty liquidy.
Yeah, I'd rather have that like richness without the extra liquid to manage. All right, we got something pretty red now. The tomato's very like integrated. I'm going to add our thyme. And I actually might add a little chili flake too. I'm actually going to add in a pinch of flour. Because I want this to be a little bit drier. And then we can use that as our thickener later. There's quite a lot of oil left in here. And using that to build like a kind of baby roux will be really useful. Okay, so now we're going to add a little splash of wine. I'm just going to pour in the rest of this glass. That looks like about the right amount. It's boiling off right away anyway, so no cooties for Uties. All right, look at that. It's already starting to thicken. That roux just absorbed that cold wine so fast. It seized way, way up, which if the liquid was hot, it wouldn't do that. Or if the roux was cold, it wouldn't do that. They need to be matching temperatures to kind of be more workable. Oh yeah, that roux did the trick. Now we've got a very rich sauce. It's fairly thick already. That's gonna save us a lot of time, I think.
All right, while this is going, I think I'm going to start our polenta.
All right, let's boil this off. I've kind of overpowered my roux at this point. So while it will be thicker by default, it does need to reduce a bit. Do you want some butter for your polenta?
Probably, but
I'm actually gonna add my pork in now. This will need to reduce also, so I'm just gonna add that in because there's quite a bit of liquid in here. But there's also gelatin and fat, which will give it body. Now, usually I would actually like puree this sauce, and adding the pork will prevent me from doing that, but I think it's gonna be just fine if it's like a thickened sauce. We don't necessarily need to have that pureed texture to it. What do we got for time? 7:49, so we've got 25 minutes.
ooh, boy, good thing we started the polenta now. Did you take my wine?
No, it's right there.
Oh. All right, now we got some steam.
Yep.
We've got up to the line.
God, it's such pretty polenta.
Right?
All right, I've got a little slurry going. I just took a little ladle full of the stock, or of the sauce that was hot, and added about a tablespoon of flour to it. I'm just gonna add that back in. Ooh, these look great.
The Brussels sprouts.
So many Crispies.
They're getting there.
Oh, hell yeah. Can I taste them?
Sure. There's no white wine vinegar or super paprika in there yet, but
Yep. But we're gonna modify the flavor, and it's best to know where we're at, right?
Maybe a little more. Maybe a touch. Just a
I
tip.
think I'm gonna add a little bit of white wine vinegar. I think I would usually use like lemon zest or maybe like a little bit of lemon juice for this. But I need a little bit of acidity in here to break up all the richness.
We're out of lemons.
Can you take that for me? Sorry.
This seems like a good time to also add my vinegar to this.
Sure. Way better.
Polenta, how we doing?
It'll probably need more fat. So I expect butter would be the right solution. And then it isn't seasoned at all. Do you mind if I stir this one more time?
Sure, go for it.
Just want to get some crispies on the bottom, you know?
Okay. Did you get your crispities?
Not quite, but it's still good. All right, that's it. Calling it 8:10. 7 minutes early.
We finished a meal early?
Time of death, 8:10.
Nice.
Oh my.
We need something for this.
That's like a full-on like mashed potatoes and gravy situation.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Ba-da-da-da. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. It kind of looks gross, but it tastes awesome.
I mean, it's basically like an ossobuco gravy and like a Brussels sprout hash.
Yes.
Kind of looks like the forest floor and some mashed potatoes and gravy.
It kind of does.
Maybe that's what we'll call
But
it.
it's gonna
Forest
be
floor.
awesome. Forest floor. Let's eat.
The Brussels sprout flavor does kind of overwhelm the sauce a little bit,
Ooh, bummer.
but it's all right. Only if you like eat it together, right?
Yep, you're right. The Brussels
Because
sprouts
Brussels sprout is Brussels sprout.
are a flavor in and of themselves.
Rich, tangy.
Fuck, I love polenta. So underrated. So great.
It's just
I feel
corn.
like if we had made like
It's
a
mashed
bowl,
potatoes made of corn.
we could have like crafted a bowl out of polenta and stuck the ossobuco in the middle, and it would have been dope.
This is so different from everything else we've eaten this week. This is more in line with like the
Yeah,
boeuf bourguignon.
it is. It's more stewy, like a pork stew.
What would you give this out of 5 forest floors?
Nice. Out of 5 forest floors, it does look like a forest floor. I'm gonna give it a 4. 4 forest floors.
All right. I think this is, for me, the thing it's missing is varied texture.
Yes.
It needs something either fresh or crispy, and the Brussels sprouts didn't quite get there. There was just so much moisture in there. So even though they're like pretty dark, they just didn't get crispy.
Right. So what's the lineup? I mean, like, okay. First,
I think this
first
is
question.
I think it's a
first.
3.5 for me.
3.5?
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
It ain't bad, but it wouldn't be my first choice this week.
Okay. Because it's so similar. Because it kind of tastes.
Because there's not
textures are
enough
the same.
variation in it.
Got it.
Like I'm kind of, this week has been about, this whole experiment has been about keeping things from being boring.
Which
And-
has not been boring.
But within a given dish, you can also get kind of bored of the thing.
Yes.
And if it's a similar texture or similar flavor or whatever, that happens faster.
Yeah.
This is that for me.
Yep.
It's localized. It's not like a problem in the week, and I do like this dish, but it gets a little boring.
Yeah. Yep. I hear that. I hear that. And I don't think that, I think we went into this assuming that the Brussels sprouts could be the savior of this dish so that it didn't get boring, and they just didn't do the thing.
Yeah.
Because Brussels sprouts are Brussels sprouts, and they've got that Brussels sprout flavor, and
Which is great.
it's awesome.
We
but-
should have put them in the oven so they would crisp
yeah.
up. That would have
Yep.
been the move, I think.
Yep. Yep. Okay, that's
Really
what we
get
would
some
have
like
changed.
Brussels sprout chip situation, you know?
That would have been good.
Yeah. Light, crispy, totally,
We just didn't
totally
get-
the opposite.
Yeah, we didn't get the crispiness out of these that we wanted.
Flavor's right, acidity, salt, like those are the flavors I want from a Brussels sprout chip. The texture's just wrong.
Yeah.
We tried something new. We've never done sprout shreds before anyway.
Yeah, we have it.
And we haven't made ossobuco in any form in years. But this is very different from everything else we've had this
Truly.
week. What is your least favorite dish?
To most favorite.
Yeah. I think both of our least favorite was nachos.
Yeah, my least favorite was nachos. I think it's gonna go for me this week. Nachos is number 5. This probably is number 4.
I think there's a wide gulf between 5 and 4, for what it's worth.
Yep. I know my number 1 choice is going to be the tonkatsu pork.
That sweet, sweet perfection.
Why am I blanking? Oh, meatballs.
Uh-huh.
Meatballs was probably my number 3,
And then barbecue.
and then barbecue is number 2. Tonkatsu was
Flip
number
barbecue and meatballs for me, and we're on the same page.
1. Really? Okay.
I like meatballs better. Because, I mean, it's spaghetti and meatballs.
It's meatballs, and you love spaghetti. I get it.
Yeah. This might be higher than the barbecue for me. Because barbecue is just so, like, it was so simple, and there's something, like, there's more depth here.
Isn't there beauty
that make
in
sense?
simplicity, though?
Yeah, but this is just, like, a different thing. That one did have that very texture, the crisp coleslaw, the kind of, like, soft bread, and the soft, like, shredded pork.
Yeah.
But I think these flavors are more interesting. Does that make sense?
No.
I think this sauce could be better if it had time to reduce, like it should have. Or if we'd pureed it. I think there's a number of things that would make it better. That said, I'm really happy with what we got out of it so fast.
Yeah, we got a ton of flavor, a ton of kick in this ossobuco in an hour. The Brussels sprouts are...
Can we call it salsabuco?
Sure. Sure, let's call it salsabuco.
Okay. Next week,
Next week,
should we do chicken or vegetables as our like main thing?
let's switch it up. We've done so much meat so far. I want to do like a veggie week. I need a break from so much intense protein.
Yeah.
We've
These have been
had-
very rich, generally
Yep.
speaking.
So let's do veggies.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Veggies next week.
Veggie time. That. Social isolation, Sarah. Don't touch me.
Oh my God. I'll touch you so much more later.